Hello and welcome to Ask Bellco. This month, we'll learn about different types of fraud and what you can do to protect yourself. And joining us to talk about it is Joseph Ramos. He's Loss Mitigation Fraud Investigator at Bellco. Joseph, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you.
Appreciate it.
I feel like everywhere I look around, there are scams, right? Like they're in my email inbox. I get phone calls that literally the caller ID says potential spam caller, right? I even see signs around town that are like, we'll buy your house, and then somebody's written fraud across the front of it. So there's tons of them out there, right? What are the most common types of fraud that you see?
Well, unfortunately, there are many types of fraud out there. The most common types that we would see, or that we do see, is going to be credit card fraud, so credit card, debit card fraud. Okay. And check fraud.
That's like credit card, debit card is like, that's like stealing your credit card number, is that right?
Yep, stealing card information, so plastic fraud is how we generalize it.
Okay.
And essentially that's where a crook will steal your card number, and in some cases PIN, with the intention on...
Yeah, I was going to say they can't do anything without my PIN, right?
They technically can. You can still make fraudulent purchases, counterfeit purchases that don't require a PIN. Yeah. If they do have your PIN, now they also have access to an ATM. Cash withdrawals.
Put it in just...
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
Next would be check fraud. Check fraud's another challenge that faces financial industries every day.
Yeah. Is that like fake pay stubs and things like that? Or?
It could be. I mean, there's altered, there's counterfeit fraud when it comes to checks. Counterfeit, altered, fictitious.
Okay. That would be like me stealing somebody else's checkbook and writing myself a check? Or?
Correct. Or stealing somebody's account number and putting that information onto blank check stock. Wow. And cashing it against your account.
Well, that seems like a lot to look out for.
Unfortunately, and that's just two. So, but yes, and that is, there's every day. We see it every single day. Unfortunately, there's people fall for it when it comes to check fraud. The money's available pretty much right away. So it's hard, whereas it can take weeks for a check to actually bounce against your account. You deposit a check.
You deposit it and everything looks good, and then it's not till days and days later that they pull all that back out, and then you're kind of left holding the bag.
Correct.
I feel like the check fraud stuff kind of is more on the financial institution side, and the debit credit card stuff is kind of more on the customer side. Do I have that sort of right?
Well, credit debit card fraud, you are protected through Visa, for example. When it comes to counterfeit plastic, so your credit or debit card is counterfeited, or if there's internet fraud, you have certain rights and protections through Visa or MasterCard. When it comes to check fraud, a lot of times check fraud, depending on what type of check fraud it is, a lot of times it's going to fall on the member, because we make a deposit in good faith. You're the one who's doing the transaction between you and whoever you're getting the check from. Sure. So it's really kind of up to you.
You're culpable in that.
Right.
Wow, that's a real burn. Well, it seems like the credit card companies are looking out for us a little bit, but what are some ways that I can look out for myself? What are some ways I can protect myself from that kind of fraud?
Right. I guess the biggest thing is monitor your accounts online on a very regular basis. A lot of times it's recommended that you do it monthly. We actually say weekly, if not daily.
Yeah, I was going to say daily, right? I mean, it's so easy now. You can do it, Bellco members can do it on their phone.
Right. Right on the app. You got the smartphone, you can pull it up, it's right there. You don't have to wait for your statement each month. Next would be never give out your personal banking information. Sure. Personal banking login credentials. If you're ever applying for anything online and they're asking for personal banking credentials, red flag, stop right there, run the other way. Yeah. I guess other good things to protect yourself would be do online searches. So if there's, you're worried about something, a company, whatever it may be, Google that company with words like scams. And
yeah, they're like, we'll send you a check. You're like, well, I'm going to look up who this company is that's sending me this check. Yeah,
put scam or reviews or something along those lines. With, and a lot of times you're going to find other stories where if it is a true scam, something along those lines where
you'll discover it before they do.
Related stories.
Yeah. Right. Well, okay, so you and I were talking just a little bit before the cameras were rolling, and I mentioned that I don't know if a lot of the folks at home know this, but I got an email recently, and it turns out that I am actually royalty, long lost royalty from a country on the other side of the planet. And they want to send me some money.
You and a lot of other people.
Really? There's others?
Right.
I refuse to share my fortunes.
Unfortunately, if you scroll down a little more in that email box, you'll probably find another email fairly similar. A lot of times, with those scams, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Right.
Unfortunately, we see members being scammed all the time. whether it's a romance scam, tech support scam, IRS scam.
Oh, those are all places where you're kind of especially vulnerable, right? Because those are things that for one reason or another people want to respond to, you know? So they're kind of preying on your emotions a little bit, I feel like.
Yep. And a lot of those scams are something that seems too good to be true. Yeah. You're a perfect example. You get $25 million, all you have to do is pay $2,000 in taxes.
Oh, it seems like a steal.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like a steal, but obviously sounds too good to be true.
Maybe too good to be true,
right.
Yeah.
Another perfect example would be through an employment scam. Oh. Somebody signs up or applies to be a secret shopper. Ultimately,
I've seen ads for that before.
Right. The company calls them, or the fraudster calls them and says, hey, all you've got to do is go buy iTunes gift cards, give us your proof of purchase, write a review about your experience, and you can make a few $100s. Okay. Obviously, sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, they're going to get me use the gift cards, and they're going to.
Well, essentially, what they're going to do is they're going to tell you they need your online banking credentials so they can make a direct deposit. Now they've compromised your online banking credentials. They do make a deposit, but it's with a counterfeit check.
Check fraud.
Check fraud. You don't know that check's going to be returned for at least a couple of days, if not longer.
Oh,
you go out.
You're out there.
You're buying your, $1,000 in gift cards. They tell you to keep the other $400 or whatever it may be. That's your payment. Obviously, sounds too good to be true. Next thing you know, you think everything's fine. You spent your $400 that you just made. Next thing you know, the check's being returned and you're on the hook.
So, okay, so it seems like there are a lot of different ways that that you can get scammed if you're not careful.
Right.
And it seems like the people who are perpetrating these scams are getting better and better and more refined. So we can also get more and more refined in our defenses, right? So how do I stay ahead of them? How do I stay ahead of the game?
Right. The first thing I would recommend is to know about scams and how they work. Know what their methods are. If you know what a scam is about, how it works, you're less likely to get duped. Other things would be talking with somebody. Talk with somebody that you trust. You know, you come across one of these scams or something that sounds too good to be true, talk to a friend or a family member. See what they have to say about it.
You know, I remember a friend's, I think like aunt or grandmother mentioning at the dinner table one time, oh, you know, I got a call from one of the grandkids, but he wouldn't tell me which one it was, and he said it was in a real jam, and he wanted me to mail him $3,000.
Yes.
And you know, and I if she hadn't brought that up at the dinner table and had everybody almost leap out of their chairs to tell her it's a scam, you know, she could have
fell
been
for
duped. So that makes sense.
And people do. We've heard that exact same scam out there. You know, son or whoever made family members in jail, they need, again, and a lot of it comes back to iTunes gift cards, they need $2,000 in iTunes gift cards
to get out of jail.
But unfortunately, you know, a lot of our senior members, they're going to fall for it.
Yeah.
They don't know any better. They didn't have the luxury of sitting at the dinner table with everybody.
Right, exactly.
Then to tell them no.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. You got to get out there and educate yourself on this stuff, right? All it takes is you know, getting on the web and doing a couple searches, and I feel like you could learn a lot.
Right, which is another great method to stay a step ahead of the fraudsters. Do online searches.
Yeah.
You know, again, like we had mentioned, put scam after it or reviews or complaints.
Oh, that
makes sense. A lot of times you're going to see. Right.
Now I see, we're talking about searching yourself and monitoring yourself and other things like that, but I see ads, and then I hear them a lot, especially like on AM talk radio. I hear ads for like services that are like, we will lock your identity, or we will, you know, we'll shield you on the internet. Are these services, are they worth the money? Should people look into that?
Well, I think it's definitely something for people to look into. Everybody's individual needs are going to be different. I think one main thing to remember is that these identity theft protection services don't actually prevent you from getting your identity stolen.
Oh.
You know, a lot of times they're there to monitor, to alert you of different activity or things that might be going on.
When it happens, they're like,
right, when it happens, heads up, or you'll see where they tell you they can do scans of the dark web to see if your information's out there, things like that, to kind of help you stay ahead of becoming a victim.
I guess I don't know how to scan the dark web, so
yeah, we need somebody who does.
They could do that. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe look into it if you think it's the right thing for you. Maybe, you know, talk to somebody about it and see if it's the right decision. Okay, I feel like I've learned a lot about this. I'm going to throw another one at you. It's not on the script here, but one of my favorite like videos to watch on the internet when I'm you know, when I'm just kind of killing time is I love to watch the videos of people who like I think it's called scam baiting, and these are people who are basically trying to scam scammers, right? And they'll like keep them on the phone for 45 minutes. Or do you see a lot of that in your job? Do you see a lot of that kind of
unfortunately,
reverse scam?
no. We see the opposite. Unfortunately, it's where our members are falling victim, of the scam. Now, a lot of times though, once we've determined, hey, a member is being scammed, that is their first natural reaction. Is they want to try, like you said, scam the scammer.
Right. Yeah.
But obviously, highly recommend against that. We always recommend members when they are a victim, whether it's identity theft, a scam, whatever it may be, is to contact local law enforcement.
Yeah. Well, they're going to do a better job anyway, and they're going to actually maybe catch the criminal. But I mean, I can understand that frustration and that want, you want to get some justice for
Almost
yourself.
Certainly, especially if you just lost $1,000.
Right, exactly. You're like, oh, I really want to stick it to this guy or whatever. But yeah, I think we should probably caution that it can be dangerous, and it's probably better to let the police handle it, let law enforcement handle it. Gosh, I feel like I learned a lot about scams and frauds. One thing I didn't get to that I want to talk about. What about like if I want to, I could just freeze my credit, right? And then nobody could get me.
Credit freeze, also known as security freeze. Okay. It's a great option. Yeah. So you don't want to look into an identity theft protection service. Credit freezes are great. Essentially, it locks up your credit. Nobody can pull your credit. If anybody tries to fraudulently apply for loans or take out lines of credit, using your social security number and your name, with that credit freeze, it's going to prevent them from doing that. Okay. It's a great tool to have, whether you're a victim of identity theft or not a victim. It's a great thing to put on to your credit, preventative maintenance.
But it would freeze me too, right? I also couldn't get a credit report or anything like that.
So if you needed to go order your credit report, obviously you're going to be blocked from doing something along those lines. If let's say you want to go apply for a car loan, they go try to pull your credit. They're not going to be able to pull your credit. So what you've got to do is now you call the Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, whoever they're pulling the credit through, and you unthaw the freeze is what they call it. Okay. So it's unthawed for 24 hours, allows a creditor time to pull your credit, get you applied. Next thing you know, the freeze goes right back on automatically.
I'm going to look into that. That seems like a really smart, safe thing to do.
Again, whether you're a victim or not, it's something great to have.
Any last tips you want to share with the folks at home?
No, I think the best thing is monitor your accounts on a daily basis. If you're ever unsure about something, talk to friends and family. With both of those two there, I mean, a lot of times you're going to, one, prevent yourself from being scammed, or help prevent others from becoming a victim.
That's true. You share the information, you prevent other people from getting scammed too. Joseph, thanks so much for coming on the show. Will you come back and see us again?
Well, certainly.
All right, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. And thank you for watching. Now remember, if you have a question or a topic that you'd like to see discussed on our show, you can send it to us on social media using that hashtag AskBellco. Next month, we'll share smart spending and saving tips for the holiday shopping season. It's here already. We'll see you then.